Hi, folks, and welcome to another episode of Careers and Coffee. For those who are quite eagle-eyed amongst you, you'll see that I am not at home. I'm in my office, which is a totally different experience today. But this doesn't change, so I'll be speaking to Doug Fields this afternoon. So Doug is the Joint Chief Executive of the East of England Co-op, and he is also our chairman at New Anglia Enterprise, as you can see behind me. So we're going to bring Doug on to talk a little bit more about his career, skills for young people, and his role both at the East of England Co-op and New Anglia Enterprise. So we're going to be joined by Doug. Doug, how are you doing?
Yeah, fine, thanks. Good afternoon, Jordan.
Yeah, it's good to see you. So, how's things been going for you whilst being at home?
Yeah, it's good. We've got some children at home and a dog, so it has its moments. But yeah, overall, I quite enjoy it. So yeah, it's going well.
I think everyone's sort of slowly adjusting, but it's definitely an interesting one. And obviously, you will know this place better than most people because this is the headquarters of the co-op. And we are just having a chat beforehand, saying, how much work's gone on to make it feel safe for people to come back into the office. I should say, the whole team are not back in. It's just my lonely self today. But I think it's good to see organisations taking that first step to get people back to work and making people feel a lot more comfortable, isn't it?
Well, I think from the outset, we've always said that the health and safety and well-being of our colleagues, members and customers is at the forefront of what we do. So absolutely vital. And that's that response to tenants. We take our responsibility as a responsible landlord very seriously. So absolutely glad to hear it's working there. So.
That's what I've got a great landlord. Firstly, have you got coffee? Have you got a beverage? It's Careers and Coffee.
I have. I've drank my tea, but yeah, I have got one. Yeah, I've got my little Mr. Hull City mug here.
Well, as long as there's, that's all good. Let's kick off. You're Joint Chief Executive of the Co-op. Tell me a little bit more about that, and how did you get the role?
That's quite interesting. The role was a bit of an accident, really. So, my previous job was over in Milton Keynes, heading up a shared service centre for a company called Christie Group.
Okay.
And I'd met my wife, Kate, and we were happily married. But she was from the Colchester area, so she wanted to move back, be with her family, her brother, and her friends. And that sort of I wanted her to be happy, so we came back, and I was on. From the role I was at the time, I was a financial controller, and I was on 6 months' notice, and I was basically unemployable on that notice period. So I had to have my notice in and find a job. And then I got offered 2 jobs, and one of them was at the co-op. So, but really embarrassingly, and what I shouldn't say, this is really bad advice, is I'd never actually been in the co-op when I went for the interview, and we don't even let people get through the door now if that's the case. So, things have changed.
Changed for the good. That is
Absolutely.
Good. So you're joint CEO. So what does that? Why isn't there just one CEO? Why is there sort of a few CEOs? What's your role there?
Well, there's 4 of us who share that sort of joint CEO title. So, and the remit's just cooperation's a way of doing business. Being a cooperative, it's a different business model, and it seemed at the moment in time that decision was made by our board. It was the right decision. I still think it is the right decision now, but all good leaders are collaborative. All good leaders seek to get buy-in, and it forces you to do that. My specific remit is finance, technology, and within the sort of last 12 months, HR and people as well.
Yeah, blimey. So fairly busy chat then, day to day.
Yeah, we have a lot to get through, but I've got a good team, and it's all about the team. It's all about the relationships. It's all about the people.
Fantastic. And you are also chair of our organisation, New Anglia Local Enterprise Partnership. So, and that's a voluntary role as well. So can you tell us a little bit more about your role as chairman of New Anglia LEP, and also why did you volunteer to do it?
Yeah, so the why is the easy answer, I suppose, because that's I want to make a difference. I want to make a positive difference to the region and the economy, and I think I can do in that role. So I think we can help. But the key role of a chair, really, or a sort of non-executive director, is to support and encourage the team, the day-to-day team. And so it's encouraging your chief exec, Chris, who I know you've had on here, Roseanne, and making sure that they've got the right support they need and all the tools they need to help them do their job for the best of the region, really.
That's brilliant, thank you. And so I think we've sort of covered what you're up to at the moment, but I want to sort of rewind the clock a little bit up to when you were back at school. So, what was Doug like at school? Was it a good experience? What was the careers advice like? How was it for you?
It was a long time ago. That's what it was, Jordan. The careers advice, they had a careers advisor, but it was very. It wasn't. Was it good? I don't know. Did it help me? Again, I don't know. The careers advice was very much about, at that time, going to university, and it was in the time of apprenticeships or doing that sort of apprenticeship time. So we've gone back a little bit there. But I made some mistakes. I don't think I chose to do accounting at university, which obviously not necessarily the right thing, and I didn't need to do that. So, but it worked for me. And everyone's different, aren't they? So I think that's the challenge. But yeah, and I was a bit of a geek at school, I think, as well. So I'm not here. So
It's not a bad thing. It's all good. It's all good. And I mean, to bring things sort of back to what you're up to at the moment in terms of the co-op, and you talked about apprenticeships there as well. What opportunities are there for young people here at the co-op?
Oh, there's plenty. We've got a diverse family of businesses. So we've got a property business, we've got a food business, we've got a funeral business, and we've got an active apprenticeship program, and we've got actually lots and lots of roles across our business. So lots of opportunity. We have people who've been there. So since they left school, we've had people. We on an annual basis we have long service awards where we celebrate people who've had long service with the co-op, and they're all over 25, and we fill. There's a big space at the head office where you are now called the atrium, and that gets filled up with people who've done over 25 years. We've even had people who've done 50 years service with us. So, and to do that, you have to sort of be starting 16. I think they started at 14 because the age was even lower then before you could start working. But yes,
that's phenomenal. I mean, so obviously, I think with the co-op, I think a lot of people just see it as, well, the co-op on the corner of the street or wherever, whether it be in Hadley or Woodbridge or wherever it might be. I mean, do you think there's a lot of misconceptions around perhaps the food sector and drinks and sort of what you guys do?
Oh, I think so. And I think it's absolutely. I think we're predominantly a convenience retailer, but we want to improve everyone's daily lives. We want to be there. We need to make sure we've got the stock that people need at that point in time, and we want to work. We want to be friendly. We want to be trusted. We want to be all the things that people need. And through this sort of crisis that's been happening, it's been essential that we've been open, essential that we've got goods on the shelves, and essential that we're open for business, really.
I think that's really, really important as well. I mean, in terms of the co-op, what's been the impact of this pandemic, both on sort of the stores and also just generally the cooperative and, how you guys are operating at the moment?
Well, I think if you had to sum it up in one word, it'd be massive. There's been lots going on, and we've got a diverse family of businesses, so every impact's different. We've got a travel business, which is obviously going backwards at the moment. The food business, but really, on the forefront of everything we've been doing has been about the health and safety and well-being of our colleagues, members, and customers. So we've had to put in restrictions. We've put in hygiene screens in the store. We've got the social distancing. We've got to adhere to the government guidelines. So lots and lots of things. And we've got 4,100 colleagues. So we've got a number of people who have to be shielded, who are vulnerable. That's nearly 400 people of our workforce. So we've got to make sure we look after them. Clearly, when lockdown came, we had to move 200 people out of head office working from home, which went very smoothly. So there's continual challenges and that lots of things, and you've got to try and keep on top of it. And we're at the stage now, which obviously, what might the future look like? Reimagining what that future might look like and how we'll work in the future, really.
I mean, do you think people's shopping habits are going to be changing as well moving forwards, or have you seen that already?
They've changed significantly. So in the period, so at the moment, footfall is significantly down and basket spend significantly up. So that's and some of the categories that are selling well at the moment are reflective of where we are in. So the hospitality sector is shut down to all intents and purposes. So that beer, wines, and spirits category sales are a lot higher. What will happen when they open up? We just don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's quite an interesting one. I still pop to club. It is, I don't know, it's just that level of convenience there as well. But I mean, also talking about the co-op, for any young people who are perhaps aspiring to either work in one of the stores or work here at the head office, what are some of the skills that you would look for in a young person who'd be working with you?
I think it's all about attitude, making sure that they're willing to try things, resilience as well. I think we've just got to be flexible. It's not you've got to find something that works for you, and you know, there's our shops are quite small, so it's usually quite a small team in there. We've got some much bigger shops as well, but it's all about being a team player, really, team first, and that's something we want to encourage. I want something to open, but attitude is everything, really.
Yeah, and I think you when I had Chris and Roseanne on again from New Anglia, that's what they looked at. Do you have that sort of attitude and passion to actually sort of go into the role? That's so important. And there we go. You can also see on the screen just sort of the apprenticeships that you folks offer, colleague benefits, and all those sorts of things. So yeah, I suppose anyone who is interested, have a look on there as well.
Yep, thank you.
So thank you. But I want to come back onto sort of your career as well, Doug. I mean, has there been any sort of highlights or sort of perhaps low points when you felt a little bit lost in your career? And how did you turn it around? So sort of what's been some of the highs and lows?
So that's a very good question. I mean, some of the highs. I was lucky enough to work for one of the biggest professional services in the world, PwC, which was very hard work. It wasn't unusual to be in the office at 1 o'clock in the morning.
So what's
doing things.
PwC, for anyone who doesn't know?
PwC is probably the biggest accountancy firm or professional services firm in the world. They've got offices all around the world, and I was a audit person in that team. So that means I used to go out to companies, and I had some great companies. We used to work with Dyson, so I've met James Dyson on numerous times on some of his board. Wow. I got sent abroad. I went to work in Mexico, in America. I did a training course in Cologne. Went to Denmark. So I was very lucky. Not everyone's experience of PwC, but I got a really good opportunity to see parts of the world and do that. But then I had to make a decision. It was very clear to me that I wasn't actually going to make it to the upper echelons of PwC. So I had to make a difficult career decision then and moved out into industry and became a sort of financial controller. But I've been very lucky both at the East of England Co-op and at my previous job at Christie Group that these fantastic financial controller roles were blank sheets of paper. So I could make the role my own and make a real contribution to the workings of an organisation and its successes.
No, I think that's brilliant. I mean, if you want to suggest to the Let board any sort of training places in Mexico, I'd be more than happy to take that up. So just let me.
You wouldn't. Yeah, actually, it wasn't a fantastic. It wasn't the place to go. So, as they booked me in, the client booked me in. They said, "Oh, by the way, Doug, we haven't had any hijackings on that road for 2 years." It's like I didn't even know there were the hijackings. I was in the middle of nowhere, and on the flight to Mexico City, the film was The Hostage Negotiator, which was about someone getting kidnapped in Mexico City. It wasn't a great, and I had to then fly on a small flight. Yeah, it wasn't very glamorous, and it was a hose manufacturer, so they made hoses for cars. So yes, it wasn't the most glamorous location. It really was in the middle of Mexico. So
I can do the Maldives. That'd suit me. Maybe 2021. We'll book something in.
Yeah.
But I also want to come on to say, in terms of what you're doing at New Anglia, all of our work is about how do we boost the economy across Norfolk and Suffolk? How do we attract more people, businesses, all of those sorts of things? I mean, what do you love about living and working in New Anglia or indeed the East?
I think it's it's a place and it's the people, isn't it? The place is fantastic. It's got a diverse range of businesses. It's got a lovely landscape, lovely countryside. It's got the big bright blue skies, and it's got some lovely cities. I love Norwich. I think that's a fantastic place. I enjoy visiting there. I did enjoy visiting there. And it's got such things. You go to Kings Lynn, it's different. You've got Lowestoft, Yarmouth. I just love it, and the people. But we go on holiday. We're going on holiday, hopefully, to Norfolk a bit later in the year. So but from a business perspective, it's got a really good mix of businesses, and real ones that can benefit from the local enterprise partnership as well, I think.
Good plug, like that. Yeah, no, I agree, and I think Norfolk and Suffolk, I think it is just a wonderful place to live. Like we were chatting about earlier, driving down to Aldeburgh for fish and chips, which is now possible. I went to Aldeburgh a few weekends ago in the sun. It's just you sit there and you think, oh, there's a little bit of normality here. It's quite nice, and I think knowing that's what's Aldeburgh from here, 35, 40 minutes. Knowing it's that close, I think that's really good, and to be able to work here, I think it's even better. Question. So how does the co-op address environmental impact and sustainability?
Well, that's a good big question. So it's a big part of what we do. We want to help save the planet. We want to make sure that our actions are environmentally friendly. So we were the first people to stop single-use carrier bags. So we've done that. We've got a massive in the reception of the building you are. Lots of awards for our environment. We've got a waste not want not policy, which was excellent, which did some great work, won a Gross of Gold award. It's about everything we do. We're sort of embedding that into everything we do. We've got an energy policy. We've got a whole section of our website dedicated to what we do about sustainability. But it's part of what we do. It's foundation of what we look at. So even our car policy's got CO2 limits as well. So we make sure that we have the impact on the environment considered across all parts of our business, really.
Just don't look at my car in the car park. So, I mean, you talked about the food there, because you did something, I want to say about a year or so ago, around the best before with food. Can you talk about that a little bit more? Because I think that was really, really innovative, and I know that got picked up on a national scale, and the work that
it went global. Actually, we got requests from Italy to do interviews, and the person involved couldn't speak Italian, so we had to turn it down. But it went as far as New Zealand and California as well. So what we decided to do was a waste not want not campaign. But we had food that was after, and I have to get this right now, is after its best before date, but before its use by date. And people think that you can't use that, but we highlighted it and sold it to stop it going to landfill. And that was the premise of the campaign, really. Well, not campaign, what we do. And I think that's key. You see a lot of headline grabbing environmental and sustainability things about loose produce, and it goes very quickly. This is something we do it properly, and we keep doing it to this very day.
No, I think that's really, really good to hear. And I think also best before. I think that's anything to reduce wastage. So no, I think that's really, really good. Now I want to turn it around and talk a little bit more about young people again as well, and also yourself. Did you have any sort of role models at school when you were there that you sort of looked to as sort of inspiration, or indeed that you have currently?
That's a very good question. Role models. I've had role models throughout my career, not particularly at school. I think I remember there was certainly somebody at PwC I looked up to who working for. I learned a lot, but I think really it's about looking for opportunities to learn and making sure, and you can learn from everybody. I learned from my team members. I learned from colleagues, especially around the LET board. I think that are really lots of people there I learned from. So yeah, it's been I think you've got to look for each opportunities. Role models, I suppose I did. I used to really, really think about Daley Thompson. He's probably a bit old for a lot of people, but he was this guy who won the decathlon in 1984 in Los Angeles, in 1918 Moscow, and he was a really short decathlete, and yet his attitude and effort made him a real winner.
That's brilliant. I think role models are so important, and they cannot be underestimated for young people as well. And we had a call earlier this morning with Helen from Morgan Sindall, and we were talking about also having relatable role models. When you see someone who looks like you and they're doing a job that you sort of aspiring to in the future, it's just so important. But also talking about the future and looking to the future, what do you see as sort of being the future of work moving forwards? Which I know is a big question, but I'm sure you folks must be thinking about it at the co-op, with hopefully welcoming those 200 folks back soon.
Well, very, very big next meeting, 2 o'clock. That's what it's all about. So, yeah, so we are thinking about the future, but we also want to make it work. So, there are benefits from this sort of agile working, this working from home. There are benefits from being in the office, the corridor chat, the water cooler moments. What we've got to do is try and blend those to get the right approach. But really, fundamentally, it's still a question of culture, full of question of how you work together and that team, and making sure you're still one team. You're all working towards the single purpose. And for us, that's improving the daily lives of our customers, um, colleagues, and members, and making sure that everyone's happy. And what we've really got to be careful of, I think, in this current environment is the people who are suffering in silence, making sure we know who's struggling. And it's a spectrum. It's not a one point in time. There might be a point in time, and it's about recognizing those moments and making sure we support each other as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's, absolutely spot on. And you're right. Those sort of water cooler moments. So earlier this morning, I'd popped in, obviously here in the office, and our head of strategy was in, just because of an issue of our car. And I was mentioning something that I'd got an email about, and that I needed her to join this presentation that I was doing in a couple of months. And it's those sorts of conversations that, at the minute you'd fire off an email or something on Teams, but to be able to just chat about it and then sort it then, it makes just a world of difference. I think it's enabling that level of collaboration, which previously was done in an informal chat over a coffee, which, it's very odd. It's an odd one. But I mean, in terms of, so we talked about the future of work and what that might look like for, especially cooperative. What do you think are some of the skills that young people will need to be adapting to in this new world?
I think adaptability is a good one. I think that's important. I think digital skills are important, but fundamentally, there's communication, being adapt to how you communicate, how you understand, how you clarify what you're supposed to do, how you do what you're supposed to do. And so I think communications are obviously a big one. Adaptability, and as you move up and sort of become manager or leader, you've got to realize that no one size fits all.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's not about the old command and control structures. It's about working out how to get the best out of people, and then what's going to get the best out of you. You need to be having those conversations. How do you want to work? How do you want to how can people get the best out of you, and what support do you need? So you've just got to be authentic and try and be open as well, and get to know people, isn't it? And I think that is always a challenge, and even more of a challenge in the current environment. But getting to know people can make a real difference. It can make you happier. It can make you more productive. It can just help in so many different ways.
Brilliant. And we just had a question. What does PwC stand for?
Well, it's actually the name of the firm now, but it used to stand for PricewaterhouseCoopers, and that was a merger of a company called Pricewaterhouse and Coopers and Lybrand.
Every day is a school day. Okay. How does the co-op promote lifelong learning for employees?
That's an excellent question, and one that that's absolutely vital. So we have an online hub. We obviously do face-to-face training. We've got an online hub called the Hive, which has a fantastic suite of training courses. It's got compliance-related courses. It's got well-being courses. We do well-being, 5 days of well-being. We do lots of courses, and we respond to what people want as well. So, but we've very much got that access. We're just about to even extend that access, hopefully, to an app on a phone as well, so even more of our employees can have access to that system.
That's fantastic. I mean, so with lockdown being what it is, have you sort of done any more learning whilst at home? I won't judge you if you haven't, Doug. I definitely not. It's just sort of...
My 8-year-old got some juggling balls for his birthday a couple of weeks ago, so I've started. I'm up to 2 balls now, but I want to learn how to do that.
I'm waiting for a performance at this rate, If you can't sort of say that and then just be like, I can't do this.
I haven't done it. I haven't finished my learning yet, but it's been pretty full on with work, really, in fairness. So yeah.
I think sort of next appearance on Careers and Coffee, we're going to need to see that.
Okay, I'll give it a go.
All right, everyone's heard it here. It's facts now. next question for you. I think diversity and equality in the workplace is just huge, I think, at the moment, given with what's going on in terms of global events. How does the co-op, and I think this is probably a question for the left as well, how does the organisations you represent, how do they tackle diversity? Because I think as well, in a rural, dispersed economy, a bit like Norfolk and Suffolk, it can be challenging to get more diverse workforce. How do the organisations you represent tackle that?
There's a couple of strands really. Education is vital. Unconscious bias training, we do that at the co-op, and I know that's planned for the LEP as well.
Yep.
It's about practical interventions. What we also do is listen, and I think it's about listening. So we've just done a big piece of work on the back of International Women's Day back in March about what our female colleagues value, where they see the barriers, and some of them are perceptual, and if they're perceptual, we can do something about it. But we've just done a big piece of work about understanding what people see the barriers, and we're just about to put an action plan together to sort of deliver on those. But it's about being inclusive, isn't it? It's about talking to people, about understanding and working how to get the best of people. But we've got a number of things. We do term time working opportunities in the office so that people with childcare responsibilities, and I think lockdown's really highlighted the childcare responsibilities because of people doing their homeschooling.
Yeah.
And how we need to be flexible for that. But also I think this sort of working from home and these flexible hours gives us opportunities to be more flexible, and even it's all about delivery, isn't it? It's all about having that delivery. If you've got a delivery culture and you can deliver, what does it matter when you deliver? If it's 4 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock at night, as long as you're not impinging on other people's time. And there's a really good body of research about time and about when everyone's different about what time works for them. For me, I'm early morning. That's when I do my best work. And I try and have all my meetings in the afternoon because they're so depending on the type of meeting, but all my catch-ups in the afternoon because that works for me.
Yeah.
So, but everyone's different.
Yeah, and I was mentioning this to a colleague, the other day, there might be hours when you're just super unproductive during the day. But, for example, for me, evening after I've had dinner, sort of 2-3 hours, you can just you've not got things just firing at you in terms of emails and stuff. So everything is just a little bit calmer. So yeah, I think you're right. It's more about get the work done. It's under your, how sort of when you want to be able to do it as well. And I think you tackled a really interesting point around culture. I think if you set a good culture in your organisation, things like equality, it then doesn't create so much of a problem, because I think people feel comfortable in the space that they're in and that the people they work with, and that they are passionate about the work they're doing. So I think culture's just, I think you've sort of hit the nail on the head there.
Good.
The next question I want to ask you, and I've been asking a lot of all of my guests this, is with a lot of young people who are facing quite a unpredictable future, I think it's probably fair to say at the moment, and they'd be going through already a stressy time with exams looming and picking their next pathway. What's your advice to them young people who are thinking, oh my God, I don't know what to do, what's out there for me? What's your advice to them who maybe feel a little bit lost and directionless at the moment?
I think they've got to find someone to talk to. They've got to spread the net wider than they probably have. We've got to talk to as many people who they think can help them and look for, and they're going to have to, I think they're going to have to search out opportunities. Things aren't going to be on their doorstep. They're not going to be delivered. It's not going to say, this is the perfect job for you and here it is. You have to work harder than you've ever had to work hard to get the opportunities. You just got to be prepared to try new things, I think, as well. Give things a chance you wouldn't normally do, because you never know what's going to come up from it. So try things.
I think that's sound advice. And well, I think I might actually close things up. I mean, we're sort of like on half an hour. It's the first time I've actually been able to get this when it doesn't run over. I mean, Doug, I think the answers you gave were brilliant. I mean, you give so much insight to the work that you do at the co-op, and with everything that's going on at the moment, to see how all of them staff that are going in there day in, day out, it's so impressive, and putting their lives at risk to be able to support folks who are going in just trying to do the shopping and get on with life. So no, I think it's been just brilliant to get an insight into the work you're doing here locally in Norfolk and Suffolk.
Great. Okay, thanks ever so much, Jordan. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks so much for your time, Doug. Thank you. So folks, that was Doug Field. So Doug's joint CEO of East of England Co-op and chair of us here at New Anglia Leb. So we've got fantastic insight into what the co-op does, Doug's role there, and also his advice to young people about maybe feeling a little bit directionless at the moment around pathways and what they should be doing. So huge thanks to Doug for coming on today to speak to me a little bit more about his roles. So that's the end of Careers and Coffee for this week. Next week, I'm delighted to be welcoming on Rika Nork from BT Industrial Park. Rika does so much amazing work and working with the Tommy Flowers Institute, doing the work experience with BT. So definitely tune in Tuesday, 12:30 to hear from Rika. And then on Thursday, I'll be inviting on a good friend of mine, Dan English. He's an accountant with his own firm, and he's a volunteer enterprise advisor working with me in Ipswich. So tune in on Thursday at 12:30 to hear from Dan as well. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, 12:30 to 1, Careers and Coffee. Looking forward to seeing you and have a brilliant weekend. Thanks.